Part 98. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 972. Lin Zhuchen was shocked when he listened to the narration of the supreme creation. This is definitely the one with the richest death experience among the 10 evil spirits, right? Someone's evil hand showed up, but in the end, he didn't fight at all and surrendered. After surrendering, in the process of being transformed into an evil corpse, he actually faked the corpse again and slapped the black hand. This is too fierce. I guess the gangster was confused at that time, right? Thinking of this, he couldn't help but look complicated and said, "What does the black hand look like?" The supreme evil corpse of creation said, "My face was beaten to pieces, how do I know what it looks like?" Lin Zhuchen was confused again. What kind of tiger-wolf expression is this? In his previous life, was he able to beat that black hand's face to pieces? Isn't this bragging? And this guy is pretty boastful. However, the evil corpse of creation has already continued. Or rather, his face is rotten to begin with. The flesh and blood will fall off with the slightest touch. It's disgusting, you know. His state is very strange, as if he is made up of countless rotten flesh. Lin Zhuchen was thinking. There is no doubt that the information given by the supreme creation must involve some deep secrets of the universe. At least, this was the first time he had heard of such a thing as black mist. However, he now has no way of knowing what this information actually represents. The supreme evil corpse of creation said, "I've finished talking, now it's my turn to ask you." Lin Zhuchen said, "You ask." The supreme evil corpse of creation took a look at the wooden sword in Lu Rang's hand, and then looked at the little unicorn. A trace of nostalgia and emotion appeared in his eyes, and he said, "That one, is he back?" Lin Zhuchen nodded. Hearing this, the supreme creation suddenly smiled and said, "It's good. It doesn't matter whether we fight life or death. As long as he comes back, everything will be fine." Lin Zhuchen said, "Is there anything else you want to ask?" Creation evil corpse shook his head and said, "There will be problems only if he doesn't come back. If he comes back, there won't be any problems. He's back and that's the answer to everything." Lin Zhuchen couldn't help but sigh after hearing this. In their previous lives, I and others were just following in the footsteps of their master. The return of master means that all problems have been solved. While you are still in this painted world, lend me this wooden sword to play with for a while. Creation evil corpse suddenly spoke. Lin Zhuchen nodded and handed the wooden sword to him. The supreme creation took the wooden sword and murmured, "It's just a branch, but it's already reached this level? How terrifying must the body be?" He said, then shook his head and put the wooden sword on his waist. Then, he stretched out his hand toward Xiao Kailin, showed a warm smile, and said, "When we meet again later in the years, will you not recognize me?" Xiao Kailin glanced at him confusedly, and then at Lin Zhuchen. "He is me, I am him, just go ahead." Lin Zhuchen couldn't bear it and said. He could see that the creation of the supreme evil corpse was just based on some wishes. He borrowed the wooden sword just to suppress the ominous feeling in his body and give him a moment of clarity. Among the celestial masters, red hair is the highest level of ominousness. No one can solve it and no one can save it unless the ominous person dies completely. The little Kailin jumped into the arms of supreme creation. He hugged the little Kailin and laughed heartily. He suddenly threw the little Kailin up, then caught it again, threw it up and caught it again. Little Kailin gradually started to have fun with him, jumping around. Lin Zhuchen watched this scene, but was just silent. The supreme creation never showed any sadness, but the sadness was only in silence. He even hoped that time could stay longer in this pale picture. Because, when the pale scroll is opened, the supreme creation will have to face his fate. The reincarnation of the supreme creation actually won. No, his reincarnation triggered the ultimate celestial phenomenon and caused the ultimate palace to emerge. No, no. The ultimate palace of Tianqi-Dao is caused by the reincarnation of the supreme creation. Then the ultimate palaces of chess, martial arts, etc. that appeared before. The expressions of Han Ruwei and others from every Zhenshi pavilion changed drastically. The reincarnation of the supreme creation is even stronger than the previous life. Even Kailan was reborn. Now it seems that it is very likely that the other members of the 10 lords and 2 evils have also been reborn. The previous ultimate celestial phenomena may have been caused by them. It's over. Many people looked ugly. And right now. Cough cough, cough cough. Many people suddenly started coughing and vomited blood. No. No, my whole body feels weak. Poisoned, poisoned. Large areas of people fell to the ground. The poison is spreading. Everyone turned around hurriedly, only to see Ye's unpoisoned corpse slowly walking towards them. Her face was elegant and calm, as if it had not been eroded by the grey mist. At this moment, when she raised her hands, the poisonous aura on her body filled the sky. At this moment, she didn't hold back at all. The poison in her body can easily destroy all living creatures in the world of the painting. Next to her, there was another woman, wearing a pale white dress, her hands seemed to be embroidery. She occasionally raised her eyes and looked at Subakian. I have guarded the poison corpse for countless years, and finally waited for the poison corpse to reincarnate. Xian Dujing whispered, only the reincarnation of the poison corpse, this kind of natural medicinal body, can completely absorb the poisonous gas from the poison corpse itself. After the poisonous gas of the poisonous corpse dissipates, the corpse will become the best medicine embryo, and I can use it to refine a good medicine that can cure the death disease of the immortal clan, and thus save my people. This is her plan. Back then, Wandao Ending asked her to guard Ye's unpoisoned corpse. Apart from being unable to defeat Wandao Ending's station, the more important reason was that she, herself was coveting the body of poison corpse. This is the medicine fetus she wants. I'm sorry, Wandao Ending. I have protected her for so many years, so I should collect something that belongs to me. After saying that, she lowered her head to embroider. As her needle fell, a picture suddenly fell on the white silk cloth. And at this moment, in the pale scroll, everyone is in a daze. Suddenly they saw flowers blooming, fairy lights everywhere, cranes flying, and fairy sounds resounding. It's like entering a vast world. This is the supreme Pure Land. Even Lin Zhuzhan, Chen Dong, and others on the other side were in a daze at the moment. How come there is such a huge sea of flowers? Is this some kind of terrain created by nature? No. Lin Zhuzhan felt inexplicably dizzy. Wu Dade fell asleep and said with a smile. This place is really warm. There are no dogs or geese. It's suitable for sleeping. He really fell asleep, sleeping soundly. At this moment, Jin Baifeng actually walked over. She grabbed Wu Dade's smelly feet, and said with a hint of shyness on her ugly old face. Brother Han, the flowers you gave me are so fragrant. She sniffed Wu Dade's smelly feet and showed a look of intoxication. Not far away, Han Ruwei and the heavenly master Chen Dong were playing a chasing game. Junior brother Ling Qishan, don't be afraid, ha 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 ha, senior brother gives you flowers, why are you running away, come and let, senior brother eat it in one step. Han Ruwei was a little crazy, and his eyes were very abnormal. The heavenly master just ran away and said with a smile. Butterflies can't catch up with me, can't catch up with me. In front of Subakian's eyes, he clearly saw this scene. Her previous self was slowly walking towards her, with a kind smile on her face, and she reached out towards her. Moreover, an instinct and subconscious appeared in her mind, as if she wanted to touch herself in the previous life. Sleep. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 973. Pale Picture. At this moment, all living creatures are shrouded in illusion. Some people are chasing illusory things, some people seem to see their dead relatives, some people are hugging Wudade's smelly feet, and some people are kneeling down to worship non-existent gods. No one is immune. But there was only one person who did not move at this moment. She embroidered slowly, and pictures emerged one by one on the embroidered cloth. This is Xuanhuan's fantasy. In the past, she was a powerful healer and magician in the sea of grey mist. Once you enter her illusion mirror, you can only be controlled by her. About there. She raised her eyes and looked somewhere in the fantasy. She saw that Xuanhuan, the reincarnation of the medicine lord, had walked sluggishly in front of the poisonous corpse. Under her control, the deadly poison of Poison Master will be transferred to Xuanhuan's body. Xuanhuan will die, but the evil corpse of the medicine lord will become the medicine fetus she wants. However, at this moment, there was a trace of hesitation and struggle in Xuanhuan's eyes. Only in this way can I refine a good medicine to save my people. This is my only choice, but why is there a trace of reluctance in my heart? Reluctance. Xuanhuan murmured. But, thinking of her clansmen lying in the graves, rotting. Xuanhuan still shook her head and said firmly. This is your fate, and it is also my fate, I have no choice. Xuanhuan shook her head. She continued to embroider. Suddenly, under her driving and guidance, Xuanhuan finally walked to the opposite side of the poisonous corpse. Then, Xuanhuan and Du Ji faced each other, and both of them raised their hands. Palm to palm. Xuanhuan knew that the transmission of poison had already begun. Toxins are constantly being passed around. At this moment, the poisonous gas from the poisonous corpse had gradually been transmitted to Xuanhuan's body. Xuanhuan is heading towards death. She will become a new poisonous corpse. Seeing this scene, Xuanhuan's embroidery hand suddenly slowed down again. In order to survive my people, I can only do this. But, she is also innocent. There was a war inside her. That's all, that's all. I'll give you this elixir of immortality. Finally, she took out a pill. Immortal pill. This is the most precious elixir of their immortal ancient clan. Since ancient times, there have only been 3. This is the last one. If you take it in times of crisis, you can survive. It is extremely rare. She did not hesitate, and with a snap of her fingers, the elixir flew into the illusion and into Xuanhuan's hands. She guided Xuanhuan to take the elixir. I've done everything I can, everything depends on your own destiny. She murmured. The immortal pill is indeed extraordinary, but how much of the poison can it cure when faced with the poison corpse's poison? She didn't know, she wasn't sure. But after doing this, she felt inexplicably better. Perhaps, it is to make up for the debt in my heart. She continued to embroider. Finally, she saw Xuanhuan fall down. Xuanhuan's body was already filled with invisible poisonous gas. But at this moment, the poisonous corpse has become pure and flawless, spotless. The poison made her covered with poison, but it also kept her pure body. Even the grey mist could not corrode her. This is the perfect medicinal fetus that Xuanhuan wants. Xuanhuan looked at Xuanhuan, who fell down, sighed and said. The immortal pill didn't save your life, I'm sorry. Then she waved. The flawless Daofei immediately walked out of the illusion and walked step by step in front of her. As a furnace, I have made a furnace of essence medicinal energy. Now, it's time to use the excellent medicine to nourish the body. Xuanhuan spoke and she raised her hand. Yaezunzizi, who was standing opposite her, also raised his hand. Palm to palm. Suddenly, the breaths in the palms of both sides were exchanging. Suddenly, Xuanhuan felt something was wrong. Why was there a breath coming from Yao Zhongzi's corpse, as if? However, this glimmer of clarity did not last long. She was quickly immersed in joy. My people are about to be saved. I will prepare an antidote for them. I will take them to find the fairyland of the past and return to their hometown. Xuanhuan's eyes revealed a hint of fanaticism. She seemed to see those tribesmen who fell ill and fell into deathly silence, walking out of the graves, with smiles on their faces, and with her, looking for the direction of the forbidden fairy light, and saw a vast and endless forbidden world. Then, they embarked on the journey back together. At this moment, Xuanhuan smiled so happily and brightly. The dream has come true. Then, thump! She suddenly fell down. That's this moment. The illusion that enveloped the entire pale scroll suddenly disappeared. Ah, what's going on? What happened? Where's Master's wife? Master's wife, why are you leaving? I haven't had enough. Where's my throne, my throne? Everyone in the field was bewildered and looked around in confusion. Junior brother Ling, ah, you are not junior brother Ling Qishan. Han Ruwei was holding the hand of the heavenly master, preparing to make love to each other. However, when he saw it was the heavenly master, he was so frightened that he jumped far away. Hua, ah, why does it stink so much? On the other side, Jin Baifeng immediately trembled after reacting. She found that she was actually holding a smelly foot, kissing it wildly, and even licked it twice. If you look closely, you can see that these smelly feet are that damn fat guy. No. Jin Baifeng's mentality immediately collapsed and exploded. She felt a scratchy throat and immediately vomited. Vomit. She vomited until her stomach turned. Wu Dade, who was sleeping soundly, suddenly woke up and was frightened, saying, "Oh no, you are an unethical old woman. Go over there and vomit." He hurriedly got out of the way, put on his shoes, and cursed. "Damn, who is so disgusting? Taking off my shoes and licking the soles of my feet, disgusting." After hearing this, Jin Baifeng vomited even more seriously, vomiting out sour water and bursting into tears. Lin Zhujian was also a little confused and said, "Illusion." He hurriedly raised his eyes, looking for Subakian. The next moment, he finally saw it. I saw Subakian, with a calm expression, standing on the spot, not moving at all. In her arms, there was a little white creature. It's the little fox. But Ye's unpoisoned corpse and the terrifying phantom mirror powerhouse Xuanhuan were lying together at this moment. Their palms were still touching. This. Lin Zhujian hesitated for a moment, but then understood. The other party, was he counterattacked? Playing in an illusion in front of the nine-tailed fox, is asking for death. He couldn't help but shake his head. At this moment, Subakian slowly walked towards Ye's unpoisoned corpse and Xuanhuan. The toxins in the poisoned corpse are still being passed to Xuanhuan. Halfway through the message, Xuanhuan couldn't bear it and fainted. Subakian looked indifferent and said, "When you think others are entering your illusion, have you ever thought that you yourself are only in the illusion created by others?" She was indeed disturbed by the illusion at first. However, there was a nine-tailed fox in her Taoist scenery. The nine-tailed fox is one of the 10 spirits. What he is best at is illusion. This is his natal magical power. Therefore, instead of being deceived by Xuanhuan's illusion, Subakian created an illusion for Xuanhuan. "For the sake of your immortality pill, I'll give you one too." As she spoke, she took out a medicine bottle and gave Xuanhuan a medicine. This medicine was a detoxification pill prepared by Subakian using medicinal materials in the small courtyard. The medicine was 100 times more powerful than the so-called immortality pill and could save her life. After all, this mental illness, still has to be brought back to the village. After a long time, the toxins in Yaezun's evil corpse were completely transferred to Xiandujing's body. That's this moment. Yaezun Ziza's eyes suddenly opened. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 974. Yaezun Ziza suddenly opened his eyes. There was no grey fog in her eyes, they were so pure and clear. What is this place? Yaezun Ziza whispered. She stood up, looked around, and her eyes fell on Subakian. You. At this moment, Yaezun Ziza seemed to be stunned and said. After eternity, years will pass. Are you the reborn me? Subakian was also a little surprised. How come she didn't seem to turn into an evil corpse in her previous life? It's common. You didn't turn into an evil corpse? Subakian asked. Yaezun was confused and said. Evil corpse? Subakian was even more puzzled. Didn't he even know about the evil corpse in his previous life? Don't ask. After she died, her whole body was filled with poison. Even the Black Hand was unwilling to touch her. She and I, well, we should be the only ones who have not been transformed into evil corpses. At this time, the Supreme Creation suddenly smiled and spoke, and he walked over. Seeing the Supreme Creation, Yaozun's eyes suddenly showed a hint of surprise and said. You died too. The Supreme Way of Creation. After eternity, it will be a great joy to see each other again as time goes by. There was indeed joy on his face. You died before me, what did you see? The Supreme Creation asked curiously. Yaezun recalled, somewhat dazedly. Back then, after I set foot on that ancient road, a black path emerged, and I saw that person sinking and dying in the darkness. So, I will transfer all the medicinal properties in my body towards that path, I want to save him. After the medicinal properties were lost, the balance of the medicine was broken. I was filled with poison and lost consciousness. Her experience, in comparison, seemed much simpler. But after a simple description, we can see the thrill of that year. A generation of medicine masters, masters of poisons, walked on that ancient road, but saw that the faith in their hearts sank, disappeared, and was about to die completely. She directly gave up her life and passed the medicinal properties into the black path. But because of this, her own life came to an end. Turned into a poisonous corpse. Hearing this, Subakian understood instantly. It turns out that the previous life was actually like this. Now you and I are reincarnated. Has reincarnation reappeared? Have the disasters of that life been over? Yaezun asked with some concern. The Supreme Creation smiled and said. Now, I have to ask about your reincarnation. Subakian said. That one has returned. Now, the 10 deities and the 2 fierce ones are all by his side, and they are taught by his old man. Hearing this, Yaezun's face suddenly showed a touch of unparalleled joy. He's back, he's not dead. That's enough, that's enough. Amid her excitement, there was a deep sense of relief. Your medicine in this life is stronger than mine and can go further. Yaezun said, looking at the little fox in Subakian's arms, reaching out to touch it, and said lovingly. Even you have been reincarnated. I had no choice but to let it stay in the ancestral world and protect the fire. In this life, don't let it be lonely anymore. It is very clingy. The last sentence was said to Subakian. Subakian nodded, remembering the scene when she found the little white fox. In his previous life, White Fox waited until his death, waiting for the return of the Medicine Lord. In this life, with Master here, we will no longer drift away to die. There was an unparalleled confidence in her eyes. This person has been guarding my body for many years. Although he did something wrong, he is not extremely evil after all. Yaezun looked at Xiandujing, who had passed out, and suddenly put his hands on her hands. Immortal Governor Jing woke up leisurely. When she opened her eyes and saw Subakian, she was suddenly startled and said, You used illusion on me." Feeling the situation inside her body, her expression changed drastically. Her body is filled with all kinds of terrible toxins. If it weren't for a mysterious medicinal energy protecting her dantian and heart, she might have died completely at this moment. Failed. I have been plotting for eternity and have been waiting for today, but unexpectedly. Failed. No. At this moment, Xiandujing's face was full of despair. Will the immortal ancient relics eventually become extinct? There is no hope of saving the clan members anymore, and I am completely finished. She laughed miserably and said, I, Immortal Dujing, am willing to admit defeat. After saying that, an embroidery needle suddenly appeared in her hand and she stabbed it towards her throat. She was so desperate that she just wanted to commit suicide. I can save your people. Subakian suddenly spoke. Hearing these words, Xiandujing suddenly raised his eyes and looked at her. Is this true? Her eyes were filled with doubt. She herself is an unparalleled genius among the ancient immortal clan, proficient in illusions and medicine. However, over the years, she has only found the method of poisoning corpses and medicinal fetuses. Moreover, the success rate of this method is only 30%. Whether the tribe can be saved or not is yet to be determined. Subakian said. Well, the so-called fatal disease is actually very simple. Just use reed root, 3-year-old golden lotus, Wuyuan bamboo shoots and bird red sand to make a pill. Hearing this, Xiandujing was extremely surprised and said, How do you know the prescription? They, the immortal clan, had spent several generations trying to find some prescriptions. However, only 3 types have been identified. Over the years, Xiandujing vaguely figured out that the 4th type should be a kind of sacred sand, however, it was not confirmed to be bird red sand. Now, Subakian said it directly. How could she not be surprised? Subai smiled lightly and said, It's clearly written in the book given by Master. In the book, this prescription is classified as the simplest category. The simplest type. Hearing this, Xiandujing suddenly felt the urge to vomit blood. It took their immortal ancient clan members so long to research the prescription, but it turned out that it was directly in the book, and it was only the simplest kind. Comparing people to each other is so annoying. Wrong. At this time, Xiandujing suddenly continued. Even if you know the prescription, what can you do? These medicinal materials must be forbidden elixirs. Forbidden medicinal materials are impossible to find in the Grey Mist Sea, let alone in the true ancestor realm. It was precisely because of this that she had to set her sights on the evil corpse of Yaezun. After all, Yaezun had both poisons and poisons gathered in his body during his lifetime. That kind of balance between medicine and poison is a taboo. Thinking that there is no medicine available in this world, her eyes couldn't help but dim. So what if we know the prescription? It's still just a dream. However, Subakian blinked and said. Who said no? There are so many, in our village, everywhere. Hearing this, Xiandujing was suddenly in a daze. Everywhere. What kind of description is this? What kind of village is this? Are you, seriously? She couldn't believe it. Subakian was about to continue explaining, but Wu Dade came over and said. Of course it's true. He directly knocked down a lump of mud from the sole of his shoe and said. Tell me, what kind of medicine can't grow in the soil of our village? Xiandujing took the lump of mud and clearly felt that, the mud really contained a forbidden atmosphere. At this moment, she was completely excited. She said word by word. I am mentally ill from now on. The plot has been stuck recently. After all, in a few days, Li Fan will get the golden elixir. Sad. Just like that, I fell asleep and thought about the plot in my dream. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 975. Now. Outside the fog city. Seize this dead dog. Don't let him get away, catch him and kill him. The Lord of Time and Space led the four overlords to chase and intercept the big black dog. They tried their best, and finally, the big black dog was almost trapped to death. Wow, don't blame me if you force me to do this. Seeing that there was no way to go, the big black dog suddenly raised its leg. The magic of pissing the sky. The big black dog starts directly. Seeing the endless yellow raindrops falling one after another, Liu Bei and other overlords were shocked at this moment. Damn it, this damn dog is so shameless, right? As for the Master of Time and Space Hall, his mentality was about to collapse, because the big black dog turned his gun and aimed it at him. Nima, are you going too far? The Lord of Time and Space Palace was angry. He gritted his teeth, waved his hand, and a screen of light appeared, saying, "Your urine will never splash on me." But, just when he was full of confidence, those raindrops that touched his light screen actually penetrated his light screen directly. I wipe it? The Lord of Time and Space Palace was shocked. He was the most powerful among the overlords. And this dead dog's strength has definitely not reached the level of overlord. Why is its urine so penetrating? Even the overlord can't defend himself. It can be called a pervert. Wow, do you think this emperor drinks the master's foot washing water every day for nothing? He saved it all just for this moment. The big black dog is proud of himself and moves forward with his gun drawn. The Master of Time and Space Hall had already smelled the horrible smell. At this moment, he was really frightened and turned around and ran away. Hurry and stop him. At the same time, he shouted at Liu Bei and other overlords. However, Liu Bei and other overlords hesitated for a moment and then hurriedly moved away. Even if the dead dog's urine may not be very lethal, they are all respectable beings in the Grey Fog Sea. Who wants to be covered in dog urine? Suddenly, the big black dog roamed the field. Wherever the gun hit, it was invincible. The other side. The vast pale scroll has been spread out. Above the pale scroll, a girl in purple with dull eyes, holding a paintbrush, seemed to be depicting something. She is mechanical and paranoid, and never seems to stop until she draws something. She lost the most important memory and the most precious thing, which became her biggest obsession in this life. Even though she turned into an evil corpse, she was not affected by other thoughts. Spend your whole life just to find what you have lost. Never change until death. Ziling looked at herself in the previous life. From the messy marks of the brush, she felt in a trance that those brush strokes had an inexplicable sense of familiarity. She seemed to have a vague sense of what she wanted to draw in her previous life. That is at this moment. Damn dog, you humming bullied me too much, bullied me too much. On the other side, the Lord of Time and Space and the four major overlords are all going crazy. When the hell did you finish peeing? Are you as durable as you? Damn it, does this bitch never pee, does he save it all? Liu Bei and others all felt powerless and a bit depressed. As overlords, have they ever suffered such humiliation? However, today a dog chased her so awkwardly. They can't prevent this kind of rain at all, even the light shield formed by divine power will be penetrated. The overlord Xuanhuan did not believe in evil and prepared to sacrifice part of his original body to block the big black dog's urine peeing method. However, his original body actually melted after being splashed by the urine. The big black dog's urine is so terrifying that it can kill the source of the grey mist. This shocked them all. They had never seen such horrific dog urine. Even if your head is wet with urine today, I will kill you, a dead dog, and wipe out this world. Finally, the master of time and space palace couldn't bear it any longer and shouted to the sky. His teeth were chattering and he was furious. Hearing this, Liu Ba and other overlords changed their colors and hurriedly tried to dissuade him. Alliance leader, you can't do this. It's not worth fighting for your life with this dead dog. Its dog urine can destroy your origin. They were all afraid of the impulsiveness of the Master of Time and Space Hall. However, the Master of Time and Space Palace looked determined and said, "No one can stop me. I won't be willing to kill him today." As soon as he finished speaking, he immediately took out a statue. That is, the Dharma body of a true ancestor of their clan. Yes, I just want to ask the true ancestor to deal with it. The Lord of Time and Space Palace spoke. Liu Ba and others. They thought that the Temple of Time and Space was going to face the dead dog head-on. Unexpectedly, it has been brewing for a long time, and it is going to shake people up. However, their faces were also very solemn. The true ancestor Dharmakaya, this is definitely their biggest trump card this time. It won't be used until the last minute. Now it seems that the Master of Time and Space Palace has really been tortured to death by the big black dog. The true ancestor appears and destroys everything. The Lord of Time and Space Palace roared, and the original power was injected into the true ancestor Dharmakaya. Immediately, the true ancestor Dharmakaya swelled up, as if it was coming to life, like a mountain. Boom! At this moment, the Dharmakaya is completely awakened, surpassing the upper path, the four views, and the overlord. The sky is shaking, the void is stirring, and many Tao principles are manifesting in the heaven and earth, and they seem to be trying to suppress this Dharmakaya. Because, this Dharma body makes the entire world of true ancestor realm feel threatened. Thunder roared from the sky, and chains of the avenue came one after another. Even those who were on the road might not be able to compete with this kind of suppression from heaven and earth. However, this awakened Dharmakaya slowly opened its eyes at this moment. The moment he opened his eyes, all the rules of the avenue, sky thunder, etc. were annihilated one after another. The power of heaven and earth cannot even get close to the body of this Dharma body. That woman, the world she once protected? The Dharma body whispered slowly. He glanced around, and in one thought, he already knew everything. Haha, in this life, this world is so weak, even the heaven and the earth are so weak. At the end of the world, everything for you will come to an end. The battle that took place eons ago continues to this day. It's time to end. I will give your world death. Ha 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 ha. This true ancestor Dharmakaya burst out laughing. He seemed extremely proud. But, at this moment, the pouring rain suddenly hit. The true ancestor Dharma body frowned, but he sensed that there was great terror contained in those yellow raindrops, and the Dharma body suddenly disappeared from the place and appeared in another place. What is this? The true ancestor Dharmakaya spoke solemnly at this moment. Dream, keep dreaming. I am not afraid that you will taste the sweetness, I will definitely wake you up. The big black dog trembled, feeling comfortable and looking down on the true ancestor. When the true ancestor Dharmakaya saw this, he immediately became furious. It's you, you dead dog, we had already guessed that you were not completely dead, but we didn't expect you to be hiding in this world. Today, your life will end. The true ancestor Dharma body raised his hand and grabbed it suddenly with his big hand. The true ancestor took action, and the whole world was shaken. It was obviously just a casual grab, but the whole world seemed to be filled with terrifying power, making the big black dog feel helpless. Wow, if this emperor comes back with another piece of Dao fruit, a piece of garbage like you will be poured to death. The big black dog cursed angrily, and instantly evolved into various Dharma forms, including unicorns, divine monkeys, black basalts, and many other illusory shadows to resist the attack. Boom! The void exploded, and the various forms of the big black dog were annihilated. Even the big black dog has disappeared. Seeing this, the Master of Time and Space Hall and others were all pleasantly surprised. Is this bitch dead? It's gone to ashes, it's gone to ashes. Good death. This bitch is finally dead. However, the true ancestor Dharmakaya shook his head calmly and said, "No." His eyes swept over. Suddenly, the figure in the void suddenly appeared, and a big black dog was seen sneaking in the void and hurriedly fled towards Xiling. Damn it, this damn dog isn't even dead. Why is it so scary? Is this life force still a dog? This is simply more perverted than a real dragon. Liu Ba and others were in a daze for a while. It should be noted that just now was a blow from the true ancestors Dharmakaya. Not to mention just a top-level dog, even a super first-line overlord like the Lord of Time and Space has only a dead end. This dog has a great opportunity to develop an immortal body of chaos. If the sky is not destroyed, the flesh will not be destroyed. If the earth is not destroyed, the bones will not be rotten. Time and space will be destroyed before the end can be seen. The true ancestor Dharmakaya slowly spoke. Hearing this, everyone in the venue was extremely shocked. The immortal body of chaos. This is the legendary treasure body. Even in the sea of grey fog, it can be called a myth. Only those extremely powerful true ancestors can achieve this step. They also instantly understood why this dead dog was so difficult to kill. The true ancestor Dharmakaya already said calmly, "Since I have arrived today, I will destroy the sky, cut off the earth's veins, and destroy all time and space." He raised his hand. At this moment, the true ancestor Dharmakaya seemed to have become the master of the entire world. The power of the grey fog seemed to have turned into a vast ocean, roaring and rolling in. On his body, billions of great avenues are emerging, and the terrifying power of the true ancestor spreads across the entire world like never before. At this moment, the entire sky of the true ancestor realm was trembling, and the original black and yellow energy in the sky appeared in chaos, as if it was the end of the world. In the earth, it seems that there is a huge force about to erupt. The billions of miles of earth can no longer bear it. Volcanoes erupt, earthquakes occur crazily, and countless mountains and rivers fall. The most terrifying moment, at this moment, all living creatures in the world feel that the space and the world between heaven and earth are almost stagnant, and inexplicable rules are manifesting, seeming to destroy everything. The true ancestor raised his hand, and the world was panicked. No. What happened? In Xuanhuan continent, an ancient sacred mountain collapsed, a sect died, and an old man cried out sadly. Why did the dojo collapse again? Didn't the Supreme One come? In the world sacrifice divine state, many believers of the ultimate God in the world sacrifice temple knelt on the ground in fear. The Dao scenery cannot be hidden, it may be destroyed. In a secret place, in a cave, Jiwula was recuperating from his injuries. His face changed drastically. His Taoist scenery actually appeared on his own initiative at this moment. The world of emptiness and reality was threatened by terror and might collapse. The end has arrived. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 976. The world is in panic. Everyone in the world feels the coming of a great destruction and ruin. This horrific disaster cannot be stopped. Regardless of whether he opens the door or is just the weakest first-level cultivator, the feeling at this moment is the same. When disaster strikes, there is only death. In front of the true ancestor, they are just ants. The people trembled. Broken Mist City. The big black dog had already run to Ziling's side. Seeing this scene, the dog's eyes were a little anxious. Mainly, this true ancestor may cause terrible damage to the true ancestor realm. It should be noted that even in the Grey Mist Sea, the true ancestor is based in a mysterious place and will not stay directly in the Grey Mist Sea. Because even the Grey Mist Sea cannot withstand the power of the true ancestor and will destroy the world at every turn. This true ancestor's Dharmakaya is full of firepower, and this world can't handle it. All kinds of power are added to your body, the immortal body of chaos. Haha, if the chaos itself has been annihilated, how can you exist? The true ancestor of Grey Mist Sea stared at the big black dog with an indifferent expression. The terrifying power of 10,000 fell instantly. Everywhere he went, time and space suddenly turned into black holes and no longer existed. Wow, really think you can kill this emperor? The big black dog gritted his teeth and prepared to fight for his life. But, right now, next to it, Xialing suddenly took out the phoenix feather pen. She walked to the side of Painter Zunzizi and placed the phoenix quill pen in Painter Zunzizi's hand. Then, he said softly, "Let's draw together. Draw out the things you have forgotten, and let the most precious pictures in your heart reappear." She gently held Huazun's hand. At this moment, two people were writing at the same time. The evil corpse of Huazun followed Xialing numbly, and his hands moved according to Xialing's. The phoenix feather pen suddenly drew a stroke on the pale scroll. This stroke is so simple, just a graceful arc on the pale scroll. But, just when this stroke fell, boom! The scroll is pale, but it seems like there are billions of terrifying energy bursting out in an instant. With one stroke, everything in the world seemed to become silent. The roar of the avenue suddenly stopped, and the natural disaster froze instantly. In the sky, the chaotic black and yellow gases stopped moving for an instant. On the earth, volcanoes erupted thousands of meters thin, and the magma stopped in the air, unable to fall. In the sea, the tsunami had just taken shape, but it seemed to have turned into a huge glacier. Just because this is a stroke on the pale picture. In front of Pao City, the master of time and space hall and others were suddenly shocked. What is going on? Why do I feel like the whole world has been affected by this pale scroll? Liu Bie and others were shocked. True ancestor. The master of time and space palace also hurriedly looked at the true ancestor Dharmakaya. However, at this moment, the true ancestor Dharmakaya's eyes burst out with an extremely solemn light. He stared at the pale picture. Could it be that the picture of the pale scroll is going to reappear? Impossible. Impossible. He whispered, and there was a hint of trembling in his words, as if he was afraid. Feeling this kind of fear, the masters of the time and space palace and others suddenly felt huge waves in their hearts. They all turned around and stared at Xialing and Huazun Xieji. What exactly is it? It actually makes the true ancestor afraid? Even the big black dog was staring at the pale scroll at the moment, and the dog's eyes were full of solemnity. What's this? Painting ancestor Xuanhuan's eyes flashed with shock at this moment, looking at the pale scroll with great anticipation. And at this moment, with one stroke, a trace of clarity suddenly appeared in the painter's empty eyes, like joy. She stared at the arc on the pale scroll in a daze, with a hint of a silly smile on her lips. At this moment, a thin layer of sweat appeared on Xialing's forehead. Just one stroke made her feel extremely difficult. However, at this moment, she was not focused on anything else, and there was only one picture in her mind. She held Huazun's pen tightly, and then, she wrote the second stroke. The second stroke is still the same, just a perfect arc. The two arcs connect together. It's like the outline of a face. The moment the second arc falls, boom! Suddenly, there seemed to be some kind of extremely terrifying energy that filled the sky. At this moment, the chaotic black and yellow energy in the sky suddenly returned to the sky, and the sky became extremely clear, with thousands of miles of dark clouds. On the ground, the volcanic lava spurted out slowly fell down, like water, returning to the bottom. In the ocean, the huge tsunami waves returned to the sea level, and fish and shrimps emerged from the tsunami. The second stroke eliminates all disasters. All living things under the sky feel it. Has the disaster passed? We survived the volcano, it's all over. The sky is clear again, it's great. Billions of living beings are shouting with joy. In front of Power City, the master of time and space palace and others had incredible expressions on their faces. The pale scroll actually has such terrifying power? The scene of the true ancestor destroying the heaven and earth, but just because of 2 strokes on the scroll, everything disappeared? What are they drawing? The voice of the master of time and space palace also trembled a little. The true ancestor was even more absent-minded at the moment. He looked at the pale scroll and seemed to be talking in a dream. No. Absolutely impossible, they will fail. It's impossible to describe, absolutely impossible to describe. Subconsciously, he clenched his fists, his heart was in his throat, and he was so nervous that he was sweating profusely. And at this moment, Ziling and Huazun clasped their hands and began to write the 3rd stroke. The 3rd stroke was a short arc. The 4th stroke also fell, symmetrical with the 3rd stroke, just like a pair of eyebrows. At this moment, the sky changes drastically. Above the universe of the true ancestor realm, the 2 chi of black and yellow are intertwined and fused, the mysterious chi increases sharply, evolving into thousands of avenues, and the yellow breath is mysterious, showing endless waves. The Xuanhuan chi in the true ancestor realm is actually evolving, and the Kangkyang Dao has sublimated to an unimaginable level, with tens of thousands of chi machines falling down. Wrong. The Lord of Time and Space Hall was shocked and said, "This is the scene of ascension to heaven." According to legend, if an existence that is stunning for eternity appears in the world, it can make the sky where it is, sublimated at the same time, and its status will rise. The expressions of Liu Ba and other overlords changed greatly. This kind of scene, even in the Grey Fog Sea, is just a legend. Moreover, they did feel that the heavenly Dao of the true ancestor realm was gathering and expanding at this moment, and its strength increased dramatically. Standing under this sky, they all felt a sense of oppression. This feeling has never happened before, and even the master of the time and space palace can stop Tianfa. Now if Tianfa reappears, I'm afraid, he can kill the overlord. No, there are no creatures of that level in this world. Is this because of their paintings? At the same time, they reacted and looked at the pale scroll with even more horror. The true ancestor Dermakea's mouth is twitching, his eyelids are twitching, and his limbs are trembling. And before the pale scroll, the painter's empty eyes suddenly showed joy when he saw those pair of eyebrows appear. Ziling held her hand and continued painting. The brush falls. The bridge of the nose is high and straight. On the land of the true ancestor realm, the overwhelmingly collapsed mountains seem to have reappeared in time at this moment, regrouping in an instant, the cracks in the earth suddenly closed, and the crater was completely closed. The mother energy of the earth rises, like a divine dragon, running across the wilderness. The status of the earth has also been promoted. This is a scene of earth change. Ascension to heaven and changes to earth are all visions of the same level. Immediately afterwards, Ziling guided the painter to draw light lips. Between heaven and earth, there seems to be endless creation, and tens of thousands of spiritual energies are like layers of fog, sweeping across the entire true ancestor realm. Suddenly, under a mountain range, the corpses of the sect that had just been smashed to death opened their eyes again. Their scars were all healed, and they stood up, each one stunned. We are not dead. No, how come my realm cultivation is broken? Did you dream just now? Did I escape the tribulation? Everyone in the sect exclaimed. In a mountain forest, fallen giant trees, broken grass blades, etc., are rejuvenated, lush and green, and they are better than before. On the sea, many fish and shrimps that died due to the tsunami were floating on the sea surface, but at this moment, they suddenly jumped and returned to the sea. In front of Broken Fog City. The picture depicted on the pale scroll has begun to take shape. 2 strokes outline the face. 2 strokes create eyebrows. Draw the bridge of the nose in 1 stroke. A stroke of lips emerges. This is a sketch of a human face. Before and after, only 6 strokes. Everything in the world has been completely changed. The only thing missing from the human face is the eyes. It can be vaguely seen that this face is calm, elegant, and indifferent. It seems to have a calmness that can see through everything, and it seems to have a calmness that is not afraid of eternity. It's him. It was at this moment that painter Zunziza suddenly whispered and spoke. The emptiness and confusion in her eyes had completely disappeared. They were like eyes full of tears. Good night. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 977. After 6 strokes, the sketch was completed. The entire true ancestor realm has been completely changed by the appearance of this painting. The expressions of the master of the Grey Mist Sea, Time and Space Palace and others changed drastically, and they were dumbfounded. They sensed the changes in the world, as if they had seen a ghost. How can this be? Ascension to the sky, changes to the earth, these are celestial phenomena that only appear in legends. In the end, Ben actually appeared, the collapsed earth healed, dead sea creatures reborn and other miracles. They had never even heard of the name of what kind of phenomenon it was. True ancestor, what exactly is going on? The words of the Lord of Time and Space were filled with trembling. He felt that the changes he was facing now had completely exceeded the expectations of their true ancestor realm. The true ancestor's whole body was even more tense. He looked at the pale scroll in front of him, sweating like rain, as if he was talking in a dream, and said, "Back then, the 10 deities and 2 ferocious beasts were causing chaos in the sea of grey mist. All the true ancestor-level beings kept silent and did not dare to come and manifest. It was because of this picture scroll." His face was full of fear and he said, "Because, on that scroll, there is a portrait of an unspeakable being, true ancestor and above, whoever dares to appear will be completely destroyed. Just his portrait is enough to make the entire sea of grey fog feel silent." Later, the portrait in the scroll disappeared. This means that the indescribable existence was completely extinct, the cause and effect did not exist, and everything related to him was erased. But now, why can his face be repainted on this pale scroll? The true ancestor's words were almost out of control, filled with deep fear and terror. He felt as if he had discovered some unimaginable eternal secret and touched the will of history. No. If the portrait of that person on the pale scroll can really reappear, if that indescribable existence really returns, then the entire sea of grey mist, all the true ancestors, and even the true supreme existence. I'm afraid it's all over. This time, it's not the true ancestor realm that's facing a catastrophe, the one that's really facing annihilation. It's their grey mist sea. Hearing this, Liu Bie, Xuanhuan and other overlords looked even more shocked. There is such a secret. A picture scroll shocked the entire sea of grey fog, making the true ancestors dare not show their heads. No. That existence has completely fallen. However, at this time, the true ancestor suddenly remembered something and said, "Back then, the supremely powerful man who killed 10 statues and 2 evil spirits personally confirmed the demise of the being in the painting. What you describe is just his shadow. He died." The true ancestor suddenly raised his eyes filled with murderous intent, and said, "This life belongs to our grey mist sea. Are you trying to awaken his ghost with a scroll?" "No. You all deserve to die, you all deserve to die. He stood up suddenly and took a step forward. A great avenue of grey mist stretched out from under his feet. The terrifying magical power filled the sky. He roared and his whole body transformed into his true form. That's a space-time worm. The time-space insect clan is proficient in the art of time and space. During the war between ghosts and monsters in the world, a remnant of the space-time worm can even summon strong men from the years. Now, the true ancestor-level space-time insect has completely moved. He tried his best, burst out his endless original power, and shouted, "I will use the eternal power of the grey mist sea to completely suppress this scroll." He is dead. Even if it is just his shadow, it is impossible to reappear. It should be in the darkness. The source of the grey mist is burning. At this moment, an extremely terrifying scene suddenly appeared in Pao City, Pao continent, and even in the sky of the entire true ancestor realm. That's countless seas of grey mist, superimposed on top of each other. The grey world is boundless and vast. In each layer of the world, there are endless strong men, and there is a grey fog avenue that reaches the sky. The true ancestor of the time and space insect, it awakened the sea of grey fog at the peak of every era in the long history. How many ultimate prosperity will appear in the vast sea of grey fog for eternity? In those golden days, how many terrifying and powerful men would rise against the sky and amaze them for a period of time? Uncountable at all, like the sand of the Ganges. Now there are hundreds of thousands of grey fog sea worlds emerging. There was a sea of grey fog in the immortal era. The grey fog had just enveloped that sea, and a terrifying real beast was tearing through the sky. There was a sea of grey fog thousands of years ago, where terrifying and powerful chi practitioners caught the stars and the moon, and drank up the Milky Way. In every era, the strongest sea of grey fog appears. In those grey mist sea worlds, there were rays of light passing through. They were the strongest men of those eras, shining like comets. Each ray of light had a heroic epic. The long river of time, the endless sea of grey mist appears, the power of all worlds, to suppress a shadow, a portrait downstream of the years. The words of the time and space insect true ancestor are transmitted to every world. Suddenly, in the world of endless sea of grey fog, a loud voice sounded. The pale scroll cannot be revived, and the departed shadow must not return. The pale scroll cannot be revived, and the departed shadow must not return. Suppress it? In an instant, hundreds of thousands of grey fog sea worlds were suddenly suppressed. This is the shadow of the grey mist sea in every peak era. It has the power of a lifetime to suppress the pale scroll. Because the world also has a spirit, even the shadow of the world in the long river of time has already felt the threat of the pale scroll to the grey fog sea. The sea of grey fog for all eternity will destroy the world in a moment. At this moment, even thousands of creatures in the grey mist sea world on the other side of the abyss feel it. What happened? I feel as if the source of the world has been disturbed. In the entire world of the grey mist sea, there is a kind of dark power flowing, which is incomprehensible and extremely profound. Is it because of the true ancestor realm? In front of Xuanhuan, the powerful men of Luogui clan who lost the game were all shocked. Now, the end of the grey fog sea. In an illusory world. There is a sparkling fire floating in this world. At this moment, many prehistoric giants were suddenly awakened. My shadow in the years was awakened, someone borrowed the time and space where I am. A terrifying and powerful man whispered that the power of the true ancestor was manifesting. I sensed it, they are the true ancestors of the space-time bug clan. They also communicated with the space and time where I am. I have a sense of time and space from that side of the world when I was at my peak. It seems to be suppressing something. It's not just one or two levels of time and space that have been disturbed. I have lived 17 lives, and all 17 lives have been borrowed. Suddenly, this mysterious and illusory land instantly caused a great shock. Wait, the power of eternity will suppress it, that white mist world can't possibly bear it. There is a strong man with flashing eyes, as if he is about to break the cause and effect. True ancestor realm. All spirits knelt down. The people tremble. This kind of pressure is too terrifying, because you are facing a world of hundreds of thousands of grey fogs. The grey mist sea exerted all its strength for eternity just to suppress the picture on that pale scroll. In the view of the time and space insect true ancestor, it was just a shadow in the downstream of time. The real one must be dead and there can be no mistake. However, even if it is just a phantom, it must not be allowed to appear. That kind of existence is too terrifying. A phantom may interfere with the trajectory of history. So, he spared no expense. Suppress directly. At this moment, the sky in the true ancestor realm was almost about to collapse. Space is destroyed. The endless ocean of space, the stars dim. The wireless universe is exploding. Black holes are distorted and cannot exist. Extremely suffocating. But, on the other side of the pale scroll. At this moment, the painting master has completely woken up. She looked at the outline on the pale scroll, her beautiful eyes completely awakened, with crystal tears, and her smile was as beautiful as a pear blossom. Seeing that all the great worlds were suppressing her, she just picked up the paintbrush. I thought of you. You once taught me the art of painting and promised me to leave a portrait for you. She spoke in a low voice, and then the paintbrush dappled across the pale scroll. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 978. True Ancestor Realm. The phantoms of the grey fog sea appeared at the same time, overlapping and boundless. It can crush the heavens. Now, just to suppress the portrait on the pale scroll. But the painting master is holding the pen. A pair of eyes, formed in an instant. In these eyes, there is clearly a kind of indifference that can be broken forever, a kind of transcendent free and easy, a kind of warm spring breeze smile. The eyes are drawn. These eyes seem to be looking towards the heavens. Moment. Boom. Suddenly, like some kind of indescribable energy, flowed out of the portrait's eyes. The sky is in chaos, the sky collapses, the mountains and rivers are shattered, and the sea of fog is destroyed. One level after another, the terrifying grey fog sea world contains eternal power, which can crush the heavens. However, now it seems to have turned into soft and fragile snowflakes, as if swept by the hot torrent. All the great worlds have vanished into thin air, collapsing silently, and they have all fallen into great terror and destruction. The phantom of the grey mist sea in the immortal era exploded. All causes and effects are reversed, the universe is shattered, and the grey fog disappears. The phantoms of the sea of grey fog in the early days were also annihilated. The rainbow light of the avenue in those years was escaping and destroyed, and the void trembled and the mountains and rivers were shattered. Every level of grey fog in the world has the power of billions of years. Even the Overlord cannot bear it, but now, it is like a wisp of smoke in the sky, blown away by the wind. But in a blink of an eye. True Ancestor Realm. The sky is blue again, the sea is clear again, the earth is peaceful, and the original avenue has returned to calm. Everything just now was like a big dream. Everyone in the world is in a daze. What's going on? Everything disappeared just now. Was it just my delirium? No, my Taoist scenery appeared inexplicably just now and seemed to be collapsing. How could it be a dream? What exactly happened? All of this was caused from the direction of Pao City. Everyone in the world was extremely shocked, looking towards the direction of Pao City, wanting to know what happened there. And at this moment, Broken Mist City. Under the sky. A faint ray of sunshine shines down from the sky, so warm and gentle. In the sky, everything has completely returned to calm. However, the master of time and space palace, the four overlords and others are now completely dead. They were stunned and looked at the scene in front of them in disbelief. My mind is blank. This has directly exceeded their imagination. As overlords, they have never seen a true ancestor take action. Just when he took action, the power of 10,000 worlds fell down, making him invincible. But, that kind of invincible style. The power of the sea of 10,000 grey fogs. But it was shattered in an instant. It disappeared into ashes, not even a shadow was left. Just because. On that scroll, the sketched figure has an extra pair of eyes. Just opening your eyes can make the phantoms of the sea of grey fog retreat for eternity. Can you suppress the shadows of those powerful men who have been stunning for eternity in the grey mist sea for endless years? How can this be? Moreover, this is just a portrait. What about real people? What level should real existence be? If the real existence opens its eyes, will the grey fog sea disappear directly? They didn't know, they didn't dare to think about it, they were covered in cold sweat and were soaked to the skin. As for the true ancestor of the time and space insect, at this moment, the entire insect body was trembling and twisting. It fell to the ground, and all the original power it encountered at this moment disappeared, and its Taoist scenery was wiped out. The power of the eyes in the portrait just now suppressed the thousands of phantoms of the world he had awakened with just one glance. Moreover, it directly destroyed its Taoist scenery and caused it to lose all its avenues. Beheaded into a mortal insect. He opened his eyes. He opened his eyes. No. Did he open his eyes? The words of the true ancestor of the time and space insect were so trembling that he said with undisguised fear. His shadow has reappeared, his shadow has reappeared. Run, run away. Go back and inform the grey mist sea that this life does not belong to us. Keep hiding, at least for another 3 million years. It squirmed, trying to escape. But now, it has lost all its magical powers and can only writhe on the ground like a maggot. Run, run. The Master of Time and Space Hall and others were also completely panicked. They want to tear the sky apart, and even the true ancestor won't be able to care about it. Take me with you, Cao Nima. When the true ancestor of the time and space insect saw this, he cursed loudly, damn it, the master of the time and space palace, an unworthy descendant, invited him out to die, but in the end, he just escaped. That's too much. However, when the master of the time and space palace was about to leave, the already awakened painter waved his hand. She held Xiling's phoenix feather pen in her hand, and drew the tip of the pen into the air. The void of heaven and earth changed, and the space where the master of time and space palace and others were located turned into cyclic circles. The master of the time and space palace and others used their magic and ran away more than 10,000 times in an instant, but they all returned to the same place in the end. No. Are we being controlled by the painter? Impossible. Why can the painter control us? Didn't she just hit the road? They were all frightened. As overlords and top overlords, they were actually trapped. Her painting skills are extremely terrifying, plus the pen in her hand. The true ancestor of the time and space insect smiled sadly. We can't leave, we can't all leave. There's no need to escape. Even if you escape to the grey mist sea, it's useless. Its attention now fell on the phoenix quill pen in the painting master's hand. Seeing the phoenix quill pen, it was completely desperate. This pen was brought by the reincarnation of the painter. The reincarnation of the painter master can actually possess a pen made of phoenix true feathers. The legendary phoenix is still alive. And that legendary unimaginable existence. The true ancestor of the time and space insect has understood something. So, there is no need to escape. What about escaping to the grey mist sea? Even, what if you escape to a forbidden place? The suffocating truth, the despairing fact, we thought this life belonged to us, but we never thought that the heavenly sword of destruction has been placed on our necks. It's time to wake up from the dream, it's time to wake up. The true ancestor of the time and space insect laughed like crazy. After speaking, it suddenly glared. It committed suicide. Seeing this, Liu Ba and other overlords were even more heartbroken. How could the true ancestor be so desperate? No. The master of time and space palace was unwilling to give up. He suddenly thought of something and suddenly grabbed it with his big hand. An alchemy furnace appeared in his hand. Then, he took out a jade bottle. In the jade bottle, there was a milky white poisonous insect. Source-eating poisonous insect. Just now, he never really used it. Let us go. The roar of the master of time and space hall had a hint of trembling. He looked at Huazan, Zi-Ling and others and said, "In this alchemy furnace are the original factors of everyone in your true ancestor realm. As long as I feed this original factor to the poisonous insects, even if a few of you survive, everyone in the world will die. Let me go, and I will give all the creatures in the true ancestor realm a way to live." This is his last resort. The painter frowned slightly. Zi-Ling blinked and said, "No, your ancestor and you are going to be fried to eat, and we can't let them go." Hearing this, the master of time and space hall was startled for a moment, but then he said crazily, "Are you sure you want to force me? Damn it, then let's destroy it together, you idiot, I will perish with you." With a wave of his hand, the lid of the alchemy furnace was opened, and then a stream of original energy was drawn out. The source devouring poisonous insects, eat these, and then go and slaughter the creatures in this world. He shouted and introduced all this origin into the jade bottle. However, the source devouring poisonous insect had just opened its mouth and sucked it in twice. Suddenly, the entire insect body froze, and then it started vomiting wildly in the jade bottle. They were so sick that they convulsed. The master of time and space hall was immediately dumbfounded. What the hell is this? Could it be that this original factor is poisonous? Can you poison all the most powerful poisonous insects like source devouring poisonous insects? This is outrageous. He subconsciously summoned the original energy and smelled it. Vomit. He immediately collapsed and became nauseated. Good night. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 979. The original energy of the alchemy furnace overflowed, but it immediately made the master of time and space palace vomit. Because it really stinks. Even the overlords such as Liu Ba behind him changed their expressions at this moment, holding their noses and retreating hurriedly. Hey, is this the original factor collected by Genshi Pavilion? Why is it so smelly? I feel it. The grade of this source energy is really not low, but it's too smelly. Even the poisonous insects were stunned by the stench. Damn it, is this thing the source of thousands of kinds of odors in the true ancestor realm? It's more like the condensation of thousands of kinds of stinky smells. They were all convinced. And at this moment, boom! The alchemy furnace suddenly exploded, and inside it, a beautiful figure rose into the sky and retreated at great speed. Surprisingly, it is Yu Lingxiu. During this period, she has been in the alchemy furnace, relying on a talisman left by the little turtle. Instead of becoming the furnace, she has refined and absorbed all the original factors. This gave her a huge improvement. At the same time, she had been dormant, hiding the origin given to her by the little turtle. When someone turned on the alchemy furnace, she directly pinched her nose and released the origin. Then, he happened to trick the master of time and space hall and others. At this moment, under the sky, her body was exuding a dazzling light. As soon as the rich and powerful source energy came out, blessings came from the sky, and the spiritual energy from heaven and earth rushed towards her. Who is this? Why is she in the alchemy furnace? Liu Ba and others were surprised. No, she is the body of 10,000 sources. The master of time and space palace was even more surprised and said, you can only do it by smelting the origin of the world, but, how could she be able to bear it? Smelting various origins in the world to create the strongest origin body is a legend that can also be found in the Grey Mist Sea. However, everything that has been tried has failed. Even if they are geniuses, they can often accommodate several origins, but they have already reached the upper limit. If they force it, they will explode and die. Not to mention the legendary body of 10,000 sources, even if it is to smelt hundreds of sources, it has never been achieved. But now, it actually appears. This is a serious problem. When a character like this grows up, he will probably become a powerful enemy of Grey Mist Sea. Go to hell. Even in the desperate situation at this moment, the Master of Time and Space Palace still roared angrily, wanting to attack and kill Yu Lingxiu. However, the space under Yu Lingxiu's feet had already changed, and the Master of Time and Space's big hand grabbed nothing. The next moment, Yu Lingxiu appeared beside Xiling and others. You are. Yu Lingxiu looked at Huazan and the others in surprise. In just a moment, she recognized him. She immediately saluted and said, "Thank you, painter, for saving me." The painter just nodded calmly. Then, she looked at the Lord of Time and Space. "Is Xuanhuan exhausted?" She spoke softly. The Master of Time and Space Palace and others looked at her, but their expressions were extremely ugly. "Who are you? If you don't have that pen, you are just an ant on the road." The face of the Master of Time and Space Palace was filled with unwillingness and he said, "Huazan, do you dare to give a fair fight?" He roared. Hearing this, the painter smiled, and her beautiful eyes were like autumn water, with a slight smile, and said, "A fair fight? Okay, come here, I promise not to use this pen." She spoke. As he said that, the phoenix quill passed by with one stroke, and the Master of the Time and Space Palace and others immediately felt that the space cycle that prevented them from getting out had been lifted. At the same time, she handed the phoenix feather pen to Xiling. Xiling looked at the painter, blinked her big eyes, put away the pen, and said nothing. The Master of Time and Space Palace and others were all overjoyed. At the same time, a cold look flashed across his eyes and he said, "Very good, very good. He is indeed a legendary painter. His courage is amazing." As soon as the human character finished speaking, it suddenly disappeared directly from the place. "Surround them all and destroy them all." The Master of the Time and Space Palace appeared directly in front of the painter, roaring angrily. Overlords such as Liu Ba and Xuanhuan have also followed suit. As overlords, their strength is definitely not weak. At this moment, with their full strength, they are still covering the sky and the sun, and their terrifying power shocks the sky. "Wow, do you want to mess around? I'll bite you to death." The big black dog immediately stood in front of Xiling and Yu Lingxiu. It knows that although the painting master and the painting ancestor are only at the beginning of the road, they are definitely not easy people to deal with. However, he was worried that the Master of the Time and Space Palace and others might plot against Xiling or Yu Lingxiu. "Let's fight. I haven't had a good fight in many years." Murongwan Si, the ancestor of painting, spoke calmly and raised his brush. However, the painting master stretched out his hand to stop her, shook his head and said, "It's so weak, there's no need for you to take action." As soon as she finished speaking, the Master of Time and Space Hall and others had already arrived to kill them. What a loud tone! They roared angrily. The Supreme Grey Fog Avenue appeared, the Dao scenery also emerged, and the Grey Fog Road exploded with the power of thousands of rules. However, the painter only smiled slightly. Then, she suddenly waved. Boom! In the surrounding space, divine fire suddenly spurted out. The originally calm void now seemed to be dormant like a volcano, with sky fire descending. That's Phoenix divine fire. No. Liu Ba and others were shocked. They have arrived in this space, and there is no way out. You're humming cheating on me, you don't mean what you say. The Lord of Time and Space Hall shouted in anger and fear. But then, its cry turned into a miserable scream. Help, I don't want to die, I don't want to, it's so hot, so hot. It rushed the fastest, so it was completely covered by the Phoenix divine fire at this moment. Spare my life. So hot. Burn me to death. Liu Ba and others were also crying sadly at this moment. Seeing this scene, the big black dog was stunned for a moment. Then, it reacted immediately. Painting master, it turns out he was just luring the enemy. Listening to the shouts coming from the divine fire, the painter put his hands behind his back and said with a look of disgust. Why are you ironing it? Your majestic overlord, won't it be cooked after a while? Is it necessary to shout? Shouting so loudly will make the meat sour and not taste good at all. Stop shouting. Hearing these words, the master of time and space hall and others in the flames trembled even more. Damn it, will they still be eaten after they die? Painting Lord, you are not a human being, you have broken your word, you are going to hell, you are a devil. The master of time and space hall, whose 3 souls and 7 souls had been burned away, let out a shrill curse at this moment. However, the painter said, Go to hell? I'm sorry, hell needs my master's nod to open it. Hearing this, the master of time and space palace and others were even more furious. Hey, don't just talk. Move it a little in the fire and bake it evenly. It'll be delicious. The painter then spoke. She deliberately controlled the Phoenix divine fire, otherwise, even the overlord would be instantly turned into ashes in front of the Phoenix divine fire. I will never come to the true ancestor realm again in my next humming life. Liu Ba let out a cry of sorrow. You will all die, you will all die. The Lord of Time and Space cursed sadly. Then, the divine fire quickly became quiet. The Lord of Time and Space, the 4 overlords, are completely dead. However, the painter did not remove the Phoenix divine fire and allowed the flames to keep the roasted food warm for a long time. In the divine fire, there was already a faint smell of meat. Yeah, that's almost it. There was an excited smile in the painter's eyes, and he said, I'll treat you to something delicious. With that, she removed the flames. Only seen in the air. A roasted brown worm, white and plump, looks crunchy and crunchy. A big roasted wild boar dripping with oil. A 3-winged deer with fragrant meat. All delicious. Seeing this scene, Xuanhuan glanced at Huazun with a complicated expression. This girl is so cruel. Even the big black dog was startled for a moment and couldn't help but murmured. As expected of being taught by my master in my previous life, just like my master, I really know how to eat. Oops. However, the painter suddenly spoke again and said, There's no seasoning, it doesn't taste good. Her eyes were filled with regret. But at this time, Zi Ling said, Don't panic, I have it. As she spoke, her Taoist scene emerged. Then, she grabbed her hand and took out various condiments. Cumin, chili, onion, and ginger. Then, she walked forward naturally and sprinkled the condiments on the food. At this moment, the heat of the Phoenix divine fire has not dissipated, and the food quickly tastes delicious, and the aroma is mouth-watering. Xuanhuan and others were a little dumbfounded. This, use the Dao Jingdi to store spices? Is there such an operation? They looked at Huazun, then at Xiling. This is the past and present life of a foodie, right? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 980. Seeing the scene in front of them, everyone was a little shocked. A majestic painter, he is so greedy. Using the Phoenix divine fire is just to bake something to eat. Forget it. Her reincarnation actually used Dao Jingdi to carry condiments with her. Where is that place? That is the foundation of a cultivator, and it involves the operation of one's own avenue. Everyone was immediately speechless. At this moment, Ziling and Huazan had already prepared the food. The hot roasted whole deer, roasted wild boar, etc., with various seasonings, are all fragrant and mouth-watering. Xuanhuan looked at the pile of delicacies, couldn't help but swallowed, and said to Huazan, "Sister, I never thought you could be so interesting." The painter smiled sweetly and said, "My master taught me back then. Fortunately, my skills are not old yet, it's good that it's not burnt. Everyone, come and eat." Xuanhuan stopped being polite and walked over directly. The big black dog also said, "Wow, I want a deer leg." At this time, Ziling suddenly spoke and said, "Ah, I almost forgot, junior brother Lin and junior sister Su are still in the scroll." She immediately looked at the scroll, but was suddenly shocked and said, "Hey, why is master's painting missing?" On the pale scroll, the portrait painted by Huazan and Ziling quietly disappeared without knowing when. Not a single mark was left on the pale scroll. All this happened quietly, and no one noticed it at all. "Master cannot draw." The painter smiled slightly and said, "I was able to depict his shadow only because you found the obsession in my heart. Now that the obsession is gone, his shadow cannot remain." She didn't say much, and even seemed relieved, saying, "The master is the master. He cannot write, create images, or describe. I begged him for a long time in order to keep his paintings." However, Xuanhuan next to him had a different emotion flashing in his eyes. She whispered, "The eternal pursuit, the pure obsession that travels through time and space, in the end can only reappear his shadow." She is also a strong painter, so she can understand very well that the painter's obsession can actually make that kind of existence goose shadow reappear for a moment. How strong should this obsession be? Unthinkable. As she spoke, she couldn't help but touch a picture scroll on her body. That is the picture scroll that contains her former ancestral world. And the person she never wanted to forget in her entire life. However, even though he passed away, he still lived in the world she wrote. She couldn't help but feel a little lucky. Ziling was thoughtful. Master's name cannot be written, and his face cannot be described. Was it because the painter was willing to keep one of his paintings? I forgot, it seems there are two acquaintances in there too. At this time, the painter suddenly remembered and waved his hand. At this moment, the pale scroll suddenly bloomed. It's as if a vast world has arrived, in which the power of endless rules is evolving. It's just a picture, but it's more mysterious than the world. Countless streams of light slanted out from it, and suddenly, all the creatures in the pale scroll appeared in the real world. Han Ruwei, Jin Baifeng, and others from Genshi Pavilion. As well as countless cultivators and forces who came to worship the Grey Mist powerhouse. Of course, there are also Lin Jujhan and Creation Supreme, Subakian, Yaezan, and Wu Dade. After walking out of the picture scroll world, everyone was in a daze. Are we out yet? Great, I finally escaped. It must be the strong men from the Grey Mist Sea who let us out. The world is overjoyed. Where is Lord Grey Mist? Take action quickly. The evil corpses of the Supreme Creation and the Medicine Lord are awake, and their reincarnations are not dead yet. Han Ruwei from Genshi Pavilion shouted loudly. Yes, please let the Grey Mist Powerhouse kill them quickly. We can't let them rise. If they are alive, they will liquidate us sooner or later. Kill them quickly. Many strong men also shouted and hurriedly spoke, wanting to point out the situation to the Grey Mist strong men. However, they searched everywhere, but could not see even the shadow of the Grey Mist Powerhouse. The aura of Grey Mist seemed to have completely disappeared from this world. The masters of the Time and Space Palace who had previously suppressed the world were all gone. Where are the distinguished guests from the Grey Mist Sea? Where have they gone? Master of Grey Mist Sea, where are you? Come and kill the enemy. For a moment, they all shouted. However, at this time, a voice suddenly came from the sky, saying, "Wow, are you looking for the Grey Mist Powerhouse?" The big black dog held a deer leg in its paws, chewed it until its mouth was full of oil, and said, "I know where they are." Hearing this, everyone looked at it. "Bitch, you're not dead." "No, why aren't they dead? Where did the Lord from Grey Mist Sea go?" They were surprised and questioned at the same time. The big black dog took a big lick from the deer leg with its big tongue and said, "Here it is. Tisk, it smells so good." Hearing this, the whole audience was stunned. What? The adults of Grey Mist Sea were roasted by them. How can this be? Damn it, you all believe this damn bitch's liar, where's your brain? Everyone yelled angrily and didn't believe it at all. After all, in the eyes of the world, the strong men of the Grey Mist Sea are absolutely invincible in the entire true ancestor realm. How could they be roasted? However, the big black dog was angry and said, "Wow, this emperor never tells lies. Do you dare to doubt me?" After saying that, it waved its paw. Suddenly, the scene just now appeared in the sky. In the Phoenix Divine Fire, the Master of Time and Space Palace and others howled and screamed miserably. Then, the flames dissipated and turned into tempting food. Seeing this scene, the entire audience was immediately dumbfounded. No. How is this possible? The adults of Grey Mist Sea were really eaten by them. What happened? What happened? Everyone trembled. They are extremely frightened. The Sea of Grey Mist, for these traders, the air is sweet. Anyone from the Grey Mist Sea, even a dog, can become their belief. But now, he was roasted and eaten. How can you accept it? No, no. How could this happen? Jin Baifeng was really driven crazy today. The 10 respects were born, and the strong man who came from the Sea of Grey Fog was actually roasted. It's over, it's completely over. Han Ruwei was devastated, his eyes filled with despair. Everyone in the audience was dumbfounded. At this moment, the mentality of the major sects and forces was a bit broken. Good stuff, good stuff. But the Supreme Creation smiled and said, "These are high-end ingredients, you must try them." He took a step forward and reached Huazan and others, tore off a piece of meat and chewed it. "Tisk, I'm not polite." The white-haired monster master, now that the hair on his body has disappeared, he also eats and drinks. Well, the space worms are roasted very well now, they should be quite crispy. Yeazun also stepped forward. As for Xian Dujing, she took a piece of meat at this moment and looked at the meat in her hand, but there was a trace of silence in her eyes. There is a legend in the clan. In the ancestral land we are looking for, the Grey Mist creatures only eat meat. I always thought that it was just a legend. She looked at Huazan and the others with a somewhat complicated expression. As a result, before she could find the ancestral land she had longed for, in this true ancestral world, she had realized her dream of using Grey Mist creatures as flesh. She lowered her head and chewed. Well, it smells good. Lin Jujhan, Wu Dade, and Subakian even came around with smiles. Relief was written on their faces. Now it seems that this time, the three evil corpses have revived. Moreover, the powerful grey fog enemy has been completely eliminated. You can eat meat with confidence. Elder sister. But Yu Lingxiu saw Yu Linglong at a glance. She was very excited and hurriedly walked to her sister. Younger sister. Yu Linglong looked at Yu Lingxiu and smiled happily, saying, Genshich became a traitor, are you okay? Yu Lingxiu nodded and said, I'm fine. Senior Xuanhuan's runes have created a great opportunity for me. Sister, I am now a 10,000 source treasure body. She was very excited. When Yu Linglong heard this, she was also sincerely happy. At the same time, she felt even more grateful to the 10 lords and 10 spirits. By the way, you three, come and eat too. At this time, Lin Zhujian suddenly looked at Ji Wuden, Chang Sunbumi, and Yang Tian. Now they all know that Ji Wuden and Chang Sunbumi are the guardians of the 9 laws, and Yang Tian is the only descendant of Yang Daomei, and has some connections with Wu Dade. Being able to appear this time and speak out for the true ancestor realm is worthy of commendation. Hearing this, Ji Wuden and the other 3 were all pleasantly surprised. This, can we eat it too? Ji Wuden stuttered a little. Chang Sunbumi was also very excited and said, thank you so much, Supremes. Then, the 3 of them went over and started eating on the spot. This meat is overbearing, so overbearing, and has so much energy. This is nothing but meat. This is simply a magic medicine. Every piece of it can be used to refine treasure pills. Ji Wuden and Chang Sunbumi were both in awe. Not long after eating, they felt that they couldn't hold back anymore. In fact, Yang Tian and Yu Lingxiu could no longer hold on at this moment. It's so hot. Yu Lingxiu couldn't help but speak, sweating profusely. She felt that every inch of her body was changing. Me too. Yang Tian wiped his sweat while continuing to bite. After all, this kind of opportunity is so rare. Eat a few more bites to satisfy your craving. But below, Genshi Pavilion and other major forces were completely silent when they saw this scene. They were trembling, not knowing what to do. Senior brother, otherwise we will fight with them. Jin Baifeng looked at Han Ruwei subconsciously. Han Ruwei said, the adults have been humming roasted, what else are you fighting for? Just wait to die. His face was ashen. After a while, they had almost eaten. It's a pity. There are too few. I can't even take any back to the village. Wu Dade was quite regretful. Too little. The painter smiled slightly and said, let's go, I'll take you to catch them. Catch as many as you want. After saying that, she waved her hand, and the roads and bridges continued towards the northern border of Tianyuan. Seeing this, everyone was stunned. Huazun, what does this mean? Good night. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 981. As the painter waved his hand, avenues and bridges stretched across the northern border, looking straight into the abyss. Everyone couldn't help but be surprised. Painter, what do you want to do? Let's go hunting with a few of you. The painter smiled slightly and said calmly. The portrait of Master just now reappeared, and the cause and effect between heaven and earth were messed up. Those guys in the true ancestor realm will definitely notice it. After all, it is their cause and effect that is messed up. So, they will definitely come over. Just in time, I will pick some of Master's favorite foods and you can bring them back to me. Hearing this, everyone was immediately shocked. Although the painter spoke very calmly, the meaning in her painting was clearly. The grey mist sea may be about to invade. Very good, I haven't eaten enough yet. The supreme creation smiled and said. Hunt again today. Yeazun also nodded calmly. I've long wanted to see the so-called grey mist sea. Let's go and have a look. Lin Zhujian also smiled, very calm. Let's go hunting. Zi Ling and others are also looking forward to it. Immediately, they were all ready to leave. By the way, gentlemen, what should we do with these people? Yu Linglong looked at the people kneeling in front of Pao City. The ultimate master of Genshi Pavilion, the opener of major forces, the spiritual king, elite disciples, etc. These people, in the true ancestor realm, were originally high and had an extraordinary status. They were all powerful forces that ruled one side and were once respected by the world. As a result, when the disaster came, he abandoned the entire true ancestor realm, knelt in front of the enemy, and sold his ancestors for glory. Kill them all. The big black dog has a dark look in his eyes. These people have seen the reincarnation of the 10 gods, and they must not stay. It's ready to kill. Well, it would be a pity to kill so many people. Otherwise, how about I try the medicine? Subakian suddenly spoke. She took out several medicine bottles and said a little embarrassedly. These are new medicines I have refined. I haven't tried them yet. Sister, let me help you. Seeing this, Zi Ling spoke directly, swung her brush, and immediately, the space in front of Broken Mist City was locked. No. What's going on? We can't move. The space rules are locked, no one can leave or move. Everyone was frightened, even Han Ruwei and other ultimate masters had their expressions change. Although Zi Ling was only the one who opened the door, his understanding of the Dao was not weaker than theirs. With the phoenix feather pen in hand, he directly restrained them all. Junior sister Bai Qian, do it. Zi Ling spoke. Subakian also stepped forward. She stood in the air and said to the people below. Don't be nervous, this medicine is called Giwen powder. After you take it, you won't feel any pain. It will turn into clean water and become the nourishment of this world again, it's very environmentally friendly. Since preparing Giwen powder, this was the first time Subakian had used it on such a large scale. She was a little nervous and opened her mouth to comfort everyone. However, everyone below was shocked when they heard this. Giwen-san? Let yourself wait for others and become pure water? This is highly toxic, and it's also environmentally friendly. At this moment, Subakian had opened the bottle of Giwen powder, then gently tilted the bottle mouth, touched about a small spoonful of powder, and immediately floated down. Then, all kinds of miserable howls suddenly erupted from below. Even the ultimates like Han Ruwei were not immune at this moment, with large pieces of skin, muscles, and bones falling off and melting. No. I don't want to die. My heart is poisoned, help. Give me a chance, I don't want to die. At this moment, the geniuses, spiritual kings, etc. of all races were like snowmen, melting into pools of water. Tens of thousands of people disappeared in the blink of an eye. What kind of poison is this? Isn't it too unnatural? Lin Zhujian and others were a little surprised. Ji Wuden, Chang Sunbumi and others looked at the medicine bottle in Subakian's hand, their eyes full of fear and fear. Just now, it was obviously only about a small spoonful of medicine. As a result, tens of thousands of people were killed. This is too scary. But Subakian was a little annoyed and said. The water that came out was not clear enough, the efficacy of the medicine is still a little bit worse. Everyone. Tisk, you are as inappropriate as ever. However, the Supreme Creation smiled and spoke, looking at Yao Zun and saying. When you were this age, you didn't seem to be so fierce. Yao Zun also smiled and said. When you were this age, it seemed that you were not even a spiritual king. She glanced at Lin Zhujian next to her and said, as for your reincarnation, you have already opened the door and gathered the 3 major terrains of creation. Hearing this, Lin Zhujian suddenly felt depressed. I really want to find someone to beat me up and relieve my stress. Forget it, let's go to Tianyuan. Immediately, they disappeared from where they were. Not long after they left, above the sky, several rays of light suddenly appeared not far away. He is clearly a visitor. It's finally here, it's finally here. The leader is none other than the supreme elder of the visitor, Xuanhuan. Along with him, there was another supreme elder, Xuanhuan, as well as Xuanhuan and Xuanhuan. At this moment, Xuanhuan's face actually showed a hint of deep excitement. Because, this journey has been really difficult. They had just arrived at Paoyashu, but they were directly bombarded by Tianfa. He and Xuanhuan really fought to the death to protect the bones of the Forbidden Lord. Do your best. As a result, all the life-saving magic weapons they had on them were used up, and they were seriously injured by thunder. Almost dying. Huh? No, the front, why is it so clean? However, Xuanhuan and Xuanhuan were both surprised when they saw the scene ahead. There was no one in front of the huge broken mist city. There were only strange streams flowing on the earth. Let alone the strong men in the grey mist sea, they didn't even feel the origin of the grey mist. What on earth happened? Xuanhuan, his face was extremely solemn. Could it be that the Lord of Grey Mist Sea has already left? Xuanhuan was even more confused. Something's not right. Xuanhuan was thinking and suddenly said, Xuanhuan, take the bones of the Forbidden Lord and go in and have a look. He felt that something was wrong here, so he was a little cautious. It would be best to let Xuanhuan, the cannon fodder, go. Hearing this, Xuanhuan suddenly turned ugly. There was something wrong with this place, why should he let himself go? Xuanhuan, on the other hand, was even more panicked. Damn it, these two elders don't play according to the rules. It's over this time. I can't follow Brother Ao, isn't that the end? Elder Xuanhuan, Brother Xuanhuan will go in alone without care. I'm afraid it won't be convenient. Otherwise, why don't I go with him? He mustered up the courage and spoke nervously. No. Xuanhuan said coldly, you stay here. When leaving the visitor hall, Du Lao once sent him a message saying that there was a problem between Xuanhuan and Xuanhuan. Let him keep an eye on him and kill him if there is any abnormal movement. Now, since Xuanhuan is allowed to be used as cannon fodder, Xuanhuan must be left here as a hostage. Xuanhuan, go quickly, don't delay the big event. Xuanhuan also looked at Xuanhuan coldly and urged. Xuanhuan gritted his teeth and said, okay, I'll go. As he spoke, he opened his mouth and said, I wish you. Before he finished speaking, Xuanhuan suddenly panicked and said, Brother Ao, please don't say we, okay, I'm very panicked, otherwise, can you name them? Now, he is not afraid of Xuanhuan and Xuanhuan, but he is afraid of Xuanhuan's mouth. Xuanhuan was stunned for a moment, this guy, is quite good at it. He immediately said, Elder Xuanhuan, Elder Xuanhuan, I wish you both peace and immortality. After saying that, he turned around and left. And Xuanhuan breathed a sigh of relief and stabilized. Watching Xuanhuan leave, Xuanhuan sneered and said, don't try to do anything with Xuanhuan. If you have two minds in front of the organization, you will only die. Xuanhuan was more direct and said coldly, Xuanhuan, I feel a little weird. Once the matter is over, there is no need to keep him intrigued with murder. However, as soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly felt a strong murderous intention, his hair stood on end, and he turned around hurriedly. I saw a terrifying spiritual energy arrow, like a rainbow piercing the sun, approaching. Chaos Sunbow. Xuanhuan's pupils widened and his voice trembled. At this moment, he actually forgot to avoid. Because, he thought, the Chaos Sun shooting bow has arrived, this means that the ultimate Shura has also appeared. Boom! Xuanhuan's body, which had been severely injured by Tianfa, exploded into a ball of blood mist. Hui shat. Huiyan's face changed drastically and he was at a loss. He subconsciously raised his eyes and saw an old man walking over holding a big bow. Astonishingly, it was Wu Jianghe. Seeing this person, Huiyan was so frightened that his face turned blue with fear. He knelt on the ground, sweating, and kowtowed hurriedly, saying, "After all, Shura, don't kill me, give me a chance. Please." He doesn't have the courage to resist or fight at all. Because, we are facing the ultimate Shura. Even the 10 overlords of the Grey Mist Sea were killed by the other party without leaving any trace behind. Why should I, a small quasi-traveling person, go head-to-head with such a big shot? Wu Jianghe, who was preparing for a fierce battle, was suddenly confused when he saw this scene. Is this guy so cowardly? If you are so coward, then don't blame yourself. He drew his bow again. No. Please let me go. Huiyan was so frightened that he peed like urine and trembled all over. But, that arrow has already struck. Boom. Wrong. The moment the arrow exploded in Huiyan, he suddenly felt that this arrow seemed to have not even reached the ultimate. Got cheated? But, he had no chance to speak. Desperate on the spot. In the blink of an eye, the 2 elders who visited the prison were all dead. Seeing this scene, Song Ji-yuan was stunned and dumbfounded. Damn, Lao Ao is really invincible. Whoever you click will die. In his heart, he was shocked to the extreme. Wu Jianghe looked at him and said solemnly, "Have you ever seen a particularly wicked big black dog? Explain."